Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Hey, John, hope you're well. Welcome back. How's the Doom universe? Awesome, thank you. Speaking of video, can you send the link for yesterday's session when you get a chance? The Doomiverse is pretty all right overall. Fantastic. Glad to hear it, my friend. Thanks for dropping by. Fantastic. Thank you, Eric. I think fantastic is my favorite positive word. First off, it's just a cool word. Doesn't hurt to be positive. And, you know, I don't know. I just like hyping people up. I'm going to be working on these little barricades here along the edges of the roads. Need to get a couple floors lower while I do this so I can actually see where I'm placing these bad boys. So I kind of just started putting these, they're like half walls with logs along the road as like, sort of like just a barrier, if you will. It's to kind of prevent people from trotting outside of it. Oh, you can't see it? Oh my gosh. I thought I opened the scene. My bad. I am having a rough morning here. I thought I switched it over, but I guess it did not. I got to check my hotkeys that I set up. So I set up some hotkeys on my Stream Deck to like speed things up, but I might have missed a step or something. I don't know. We'll have to check later. Anyway, everyone can see the feed now, right? Hey, Anani, how you doing? I'm feeling the same way. I'm a little tired. I didn't sleep well last night. And then I woke up early this morning. Yeah, I could say that. I mean, yesterday was also just like a long day. Did a bunch of stuff early in the day, and then we had D&D, and then afterwards I did a bunch more stuff, and I'm just beat. I think I still just have a tad of heat exhaustion though. Probably didn't help that I had a few drinks yesterday. Was my day off after all. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not feeling well. I didn't even notice my camera wasn't on either. The D&D sesh was amazing. That was a really good, it was a really fun session. And something happened to my character that I want to tell you guys about. Just really crazy. After we have a few more people roll in, we'll talk about it. It's looking good. slope gets too big too quick. Move it out like that a little bit. There we go. Hey, Corpse Milk, how you doing? Smooth transition there. I'm gonna shrink this brush down just a little bit and then flatten out this section by the wall. Better. Hey, no worries. I'm glad you caught me on. How's your day going so far? I heard a song from a TikTok creator yesterday, and it's been in my head like all day, the last like 2 days. Oh, Brains, welcome to the community, and glad to hear you just got a copy. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm assuming you had a connection error when you were trying to look at the workshop. That can happen sometimes for a number of reasons. It could just be a temporary like internet hiccup from your provider or something with the Steam servers. Another thing I've seen that causes that is if you open Dungeon Alchemist from a desktop shortcut, sometimes the workshop connection doesn't always validate. So you may need to try and open it from directly within Steam. Brains, that might solve your problem. So instead of open it from a shortcut, open Steam up and then open Dungeon Alchemist from there. Because it immediately connects to the workshop and validates it as long as the workshop is live and there's no issues on Steam's end. I definitely got to raise this up a bit more. I don't like how that's hanging. So D&D yesterday was a blast. Make sure you didn't load the demo too, because they're two separate icons and two separate programs. So if you're still loading up the demo, it may have problems. Music is gone. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not doing great today on the stream stuff. Why? Oh, okay. It's because it wasn't set on repeat on a loop. That should fix it. Sorry about that. So for D&D, we wanted a little bit of intel from, our various abilities and items that we have before we proceeded in this dungeon. When we last left off, we had like cleared a big room with like a sort of lava dragon and few minions. And then there was like a big arcane like sigil or ward on the ground and a big door behind it. And we knew that we were going to run into something like this in this dungeon from our intel, and one of the items we had would be the way through it. So this item, it's been a long, big standing part of our campaign. Essentially, we were framed by a dude who, when we took him out, took revenge on him, we were imprisoned and framed by a dude named Rorik the Black Claw, I think was his name. And he just was shady dude who had like a kind of a criminal empire in the city we started in. And he would often just get people thrown in jail because he would get paid for it. And so we essentially got revenge on him, and we found a note on him that was like a ciphered note, and we deciphered it. And it pointed us to finding the Black Sigil, which is essentially a book that is a key to open this gate that we're finally at. And we found the book in another arc many sessions ago where we were in another dungeon. And, you know, anyway, that book is essentially a magic item, a wondrous item that has a curse on it and all sorts of cool abilities tied to it. Game was good yesterday, Artful Darkness. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I doubt you would need to uninstall, reinstall. It's likely a temporary network hiccup, or, you know, I've also heard of it being issues with like how your router or modem might be configured. It's having issues connecting to the workshop. But the main three issues would be just like temporary internet hiccup, temporary Steam side hiccup, or loading it from a desktop shortcut. But, you know, it could be the demo. Usually, though, right away, your licensing is recognized. And if you open the right version, not the demo version, the regular version, then you should be able to access the workshop. Let me check on my end, actually. Yeah, I'm able to connect to the workshop right now. So hopefully it was just a temporary hiccup. But uninstall, reinstall might be a good idea. Thank you, Corpse Milk, for verifying. It's good to get other people letting us know because, you know, it could just be a fluke on my end that it's good. But, yeah, if we could get anyone else confirming too, that'd be great. If you can connect to the workshop right now, let us know through Dungeon Alchemist. Hey, Tosh, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. How is France this time of year? France is hot this time of year? Interesting. So I live in Vegas in the United States. And it is getting to be very hot here. So today isn't bad. It's a little overcasty today. But by the end of like a week from now, we'll have temperatures as high as 102. 102 in Celsius. That's like 38.8 degrees, so pretty hot. Oh, you have Starlink? Interesting. I've never met a community member who told me they use Starlink, so it could be like a temporary, it could be an internet related thing, but it's good to know, like, okay, I've seen people have issues with the way their modem or router was configured by default. It had trouble accessing services like Steam Workshop. So they ended up, you know, talking to their internet service provider or the company who made their router or modem and got it sorted out. Usually it's a port forwarding issue. But it's case by case. I've only heard of that a couple of times in like 5 years. Usually the most common thing is the desktop shortcut or just a temporary like Steam issue. From time to time, Steam goes down or the workshop, you know, gets restarted or yeah. Vegas is pretty dry. you could say. It can be humid here, though, for sure. And also, that's not the highest it gets. 102 is just the beginning. It'll get up to like 115. I think last year it got to 116 a couple of days. That's 46 degrees Celsius, 46.1 degrees. That's not bad at all. That's cool. You know, the only people I know who use Starlink usually are like very rural or like traveling a lot, like RVers. You know what I mean? Oh, for sure, Skater will. You could just throw it an egg on the sidewalk certain days in the summer and it'll just cook. Like, it gets so unbelievably hot in Vegas. I'm starting to regret my decision to move here. You know, I've been here over a decade now, and it's getting to the point where I'm like not a fan of city living anymore. I came here years ago for opportunity and like, you know, business, and because a lot of my clients were in this region and it was just easier to work with them closely, and COVID changed a lot of stuff and destroyed my personal business at the time, so I transitioned into this job. I know we're not going to abandon them. We're going to greenhouse them, and they have irrigation, so they're automatically watered twice a day to keep up with the heat here, morning and night. So it gets a good soak all night, and then in the morning it gets another fresh set of water to help it through the day. But my wife was the one that wanted to do the gardening more than I did. I just built the garden beds for her because I'm the handy one. I've got the tools and the know-how. And yeah. Anyway. Line that up a bit better. Looks good. But yeah, it gets incredibly hot here. Certain times of the year, it's unbearable. So getting back to the session, we found this door and the seal, and we knew that this was where we had to use this book that we had obtained in another dungeon, a previous arc. This book, though, no one in our group ever attuned to it because it was cursed, and the DM told us it would require a level 9 remove curse to get rid of, so none of us could do that. Basically, it took over your shadow and made it do like nefarious stuff. Like if you roll a 1 ever, then your shadow takes over and can cast in your place for a round, or like do anything that you can do for a round. And we all just felt like that would be too problematic and random for the party. Even me, as like a lucknomancer, like with luck rolls and a halfling, I still didn't want to attune to it, like because of this. We just didn't want it to be problematic for the party, and we didn't know how long it would be before we got here. And it's been like, I don't know, 6-7 sessions between where we got this book and now where we are. So we essentially were deciding how to proceed. We decided to rotate back to our base because we cleared that part of the dungeon, took a break, had some downtime, did some shopping. When we got back to the cave, I decided last minute I wanted to attune to the book because it had this interesting bit of information. It said if you're attuned to the book when used to open the seals, break the seals on the gate, your shadow is destroyed forever. And I don't know why, I just thought this sounded cool. So essentially, I attuned to the book just moments before we used it to destroy the seal. And then immediately after we broke the seal, basically my shadow disappeared as part of the ritual for destroying the seal. My shadow came out, helped destroy ripped open the gates in front of us, and is gone. So now my character no longer has a shadow. I am now shadowless. which is neat. I think it'll add some interesting like RP and like you know, conversations down the road. But basically, yeah, that the item was destroyed. It removed the other curse where my shadow was a menace. So now my shadow's gone, no longer a problem. And I am just a shadowless halfling, which I find kind of interesting. I kind of love being like kind of, you know, I play sort of like a Bilbo Frodo build to a degree. Obviously, I'm a wizard, but I like being stealthy. And I have, you know, invisibility, and I want to get greater invisibility and eventually a ring of invisibility. And I kind of want to play to that, right? But having no shadow is a whole degree of other stealth. Also otherworldly. I feel like some people might be freaked out by me in the future. Like I may not be able to enter some places because they feel like I'm cursed or problematic. So essentially, I now no longer have a shadow. And I actually willingly wanted this to happen to me. I had been considering it for a while, but I wasn't sure if the other curse would stick around after the sigil was destroyed. So we used a combination of a spell called Dire Warning and also Divination to, you know, just learn a little bit more about these wards and the sigil and what might happen. And the information I had gotten gave me enough confidence to move forward with it. But like one time we met like a shady person who we were told to wait for that would like guide us through a city and get us to a contact to help us, right? But like we didn't trust them or know them, and so I did a stealth check and hid in the room when they came. And then after I followed the group like from behind to make sure that nothing else was following us and to make sure they had an escape plan if something went wrong. This wasn't this session, this was a previous session some time ago. But like, I love having the opportunity to do stealth mechanics when I can. I just don't do it all the time. Good question. I don't know. I have not even considered it. I hadn't asked. I did, you know, my DM's the kind of DM when the more I ask him things, the more ideas I give him, I feel like. He's here watching, lurking. He could probably confirm that. Like, he's probably just taking notes on the things I'm saying. He's like, oh, yes, people might be scared of you now that you're shadowless. Honestly, Eric, I'm all for shenanigans with it. I took this because I knew it might be interesting down the road. Like, some people might think it's cool, or like find me like, you know, maybe they'll worship me, but some people would be terrified by it. Anyway, but no, Eric is a great DM, and y'all should check out his streams. He actually streams here on Twitch. He has several games running throughout the week. How many games are you running right now, Eric? Too many. I couldn't keep track if I tried. We're like his only game that isn't streamed, I feel like. Love this. This is looking good. But anyway, so we destroyed the seal. The moment the seal was destroyed, a massive construct ran out, like a huge construct, I think is what it was, of some sort, ran out at us. We dealt with constructs a bunch in the past, so we understood that, you know, they might be immune to certain types of damage and or, you know, resistant to certain things. So we essentially started testing its defenses right away. Oh, by the way, I was right at the gate when it came out, little tiny halfling right in the huge construct shadow. I rolled really poorly on my initiative, so I used a luck roll to grab another initiative roll. Got a little bit better initiative, so I kept that. And anyway, I was just hoping that this guy wouldn't get a huge attack on me before I had a turn, which, guess what? He did. Luckily, I used shield, and he missed, but on one of the attacks, but the other was a saving throw, and I did poorly and took like 15 damage. And I noted this to the DM. We actually discussed this because that's the most damage I have taken so far. I'm very, let's just say, careful. And as I'm a wizard, I'm really squishy. So I tend to like kind of sit back at the back line, though I have been a frontliner a few times, just very strategically. So I provide, you know, all sorts of bombardment support, but also like utility support for our group. Like I'm usually the one picking locks or, you know, like disarming traps or, you know, discovering magic items. So I feel like my niche is a little bit different. That said, I felt like yesterday I put out more damage in session than I ever have. It was a good session for me. I changed from Divination Wizard to a Scribes Wizard. Also got level 4 spells, so I am like in a whole new like area of power, I feel like. I was able to transmute all my different spells because that's a feature that the Scribes Wizard has. So I was throwing out ice balls. I'm going to keep luck. I'm going to keep the luck feat, and I'm still going to have that. And I have an item that essentially gives me like 2 guaranteed fails or rolls per day or per like long rest, I think. So I essentially have an item that supplements my portent or like a Chronergy Wizard's type ability for a few levels. I don't know. I really love divination, the idea of it, but I felt like my portent ability was bringing our game to a grinding halt like 4 or 5 times a game, because it doesn't work really well when you're playing online and can't see people when they're about to roll or make decisions. Like a lot of times people just click something on their sheet and you don't get a chance to say, hey, would you like a portent on that? And so the way portent works and is phrased isn't very conducive to our play style. And I felt like I was just dragging us to a halt a few times a game. So as much as I loved portent, I decided I wanted to switch classes. The DM allowed me to. And I was looking at Chronergy, which would be very similar to divination, but I also was looking at Scribes Wizard, and I honestly have always wanted to try one, and I just felt like if I'm going to try something else, I might as well go off the path I'm already doing. So I'm trying to improve flow of play and not drag it to a halt a few times. This item I have called the Wand of Fate allows me to use charges to like essentially make a fail a success and a success a fail on anyone within range of it. So I just going to use that temporarily and see, you know, as I still almost have essentially the same ability, because I only had 2 portents, right? And, you know, I was unimpressed with the lack of divination spells as a whole for the class. There's like only 2 or 3 that are attack based, and the rest are all just like learning the future, which is cool. I'm still going to be a luck wizard. I still have my luck ability, and I'm still going to assist the party in that way. But for right now, I feel strangely powerful. Interesting. That's really cool, Corpse Milk. So Who knows? I may change my mind later, but I really enjoyed yesterday's session. I'm not going to lie. I basically, I feel like my spells put out the most damage yesterday by far. That's counting, you know, the damage I did by transmuting, say, fireballs that would do no damage to fire-based creatures or little to no damage to them to, you know, cold or force. And also polymorphing our very unlucky fighter who just loves to take hits and be in the front of everything into a giant ape. And he just went ham with that thing. He got at least 3 hits over 30 damage. Oh, it was bananas. It was bonkers for sure, dude. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. It made me laugh for sure. I feel like polymorph can, in the right situations, be a very powerful spell. And in this case, with a fighter who takes, you know, 100 plus damage per session, you know, having a quick temp HP boost that I can throw on him, you know, when he's in a bad situation, but also give him some more strength and cool abilities at the same time. Like, he really enjoyed it, and I knew he would. It's right up his play style, it seems like. Anyway. So we fight this construct. Our sort of support sorcerer, she reduced it from large to like a you know, regular size creature, which made it far less intimidating and it did less damage. And I Misty stepped away from it before that because it was huge and was beating on me, so I could get at range and start attacking it with, you know, ranged spells. And then our fighter and our paladin moved in on it and kind of just kept beating it while everyone else hit it at range. I think we took it down in maybe 2-3 rounds. I think it maybe had 200-ish XP or HP, something like that. But it could do some serious damage with its multi-attacks. And we were, you know, definitely just trying to play safe, as this was our first encounter of the day. After we took him out, I asked for a quick short rest because I was down a magic item in attunements because I just destroyed one trying to open that gate or whatever. Because the thing I was attuned to was no longer in existence. Anyway, so we sat down and had a quick rest. Everyone kind of healed up, and we discussed our plans before we move forward. And then, I mean, right after that, we headed into this next area, which was a big kind of gate that was ripped open. And inside we could see another door, and there was some writing on it. There was a riddle that kind of gave us some context clues. The clues, some of them were pretty obvious. The others we weren't 100% sure. But basically it was saying that, like, once we enter, we can't go back. So likely the door behind us was going to close, right? Or it's a one-way only. Also that we need to open the door, our shadows need to be one. And so I was like, well, shoot, I don't have a shadow anymore. Can you guys help me? So I was in the middle while all of them were around me, and we made a big shadow. And then we were able to open the door. We essentially got through this door, and then immediately, before we went through the door, actually, I have this move because I like to just be careful. And I have Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, but I use them very sparingly because they're kind of cheesy at times. Hey, KO, thank you for the like. Much appreciated. But basically with those pigments, I I got up to the door very closely, and I used the pigment magic to do a tiny like peephole in the door. And then I hold my kind of cloak up, and then I'll try to look through so there's no like light going through. And without touching the door, of course, because I felt like it might be trapped or have something on it or some kind of anything. So we essentially realized there was a whole bunch of dudes, and it was like a big room full of lava on the other side. So I kind of just told everyone what I saw, and I use minor illusion to like show them images of the guys I've seen, so they kind of know what they're looking like and what they're getting into. It's kind of my fun way to like peek through, see something, and then share what I see with illusions. Anyway, we prep for combat. Everyone kind of preps actions. And we open the door and go through. And once we go through, immediately get into combat. But because we had prepared actions, we unloaded on the closest guy, which was a basilisk. All of us kind of hit him. My son used a spell that made him run into some lava. I think it was Dissonant Whispers. And the basilisk was immune to fire damage, unfortunately. So he just crawled right back out of the lava and laughed at us. We had run into a bunch of basilisks in this cave already, in this dungeon, and I was getting sick of them trying to petrify us all the time. So I had the boys at our home workshop, at our bastion, cook up some way for us to mount steel mirrors on our shields in a pinch. So we could just take like an action to mount a mirror on our shield, and then we have them. So because we knew there was going to be a basilisk in there, we had our mirrors on our shields already when we entered, by the way. Forgot to mention that. And anyway, as soon as he sees his reflection, he has to make a save. If it's on his turn, if he sees his reflection, he basically tries to do his petrifying gaze on himself instead. Brains, I'm glad it's working for you. I felt bad because it is like a crapshoot sometimes, and it's usually not anything in your control, like your internet or Steam. You know what I mean? Something that like is just a temporary thing that'll likely be fixed. But glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. That I was worried. Thank you for the update. So, how are you enjoying Dungeon Alchemist so far? As a new user, I'd love to hear your feedback. What drew you to us, maybe, and what you're enjoying about it. What's like your favorite thing so far? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. These streams are AMA format, so while I build a map, I also provide guidance, can show you things like a live tutorial, answer your questions in real time. So, where was I in the story? So, we open this room. It's a huge room. We could see in every direction. There's guys down this path, guys down this path. We just decide to pick a path and start pushing down. Because as we started, we were basically in a little kill box, and they were pushing at us, and all of them had like fire auras. And yeah, there was like a fire elemental, a basilisk. What was the other guy? A pyromancer, and then like these 2 or 3 little, they look like fire salamanders, and those were just the guys we could see right out the door, and there was like 3 to 5 times that many guys in the surrounding area. So we essentially just wanted to get out of this little kill box and into the room so we have more area to move about. There wasn't a whole lot of cover, but at least we have, we weren't in one little spot. So we essentially pushed our way out of the room after we killed the fire elemental and the basilisk, and started pushing down this path. And let's see here. And then ahead, we could see a lot because I'd been sending my Awakened Spellbook every turn on a bonus action further and further ahead, because you can see through it telepathically without using an action, and nothing can attack it. So it's like, might as well just look as far as we can see. So I just flew it out over the lava ahead of us up to like a big kind of wall and turned it to look around the edge. And there's a ton of dudes there. Some big, like, kind of rock, like lava elementals is what they looked like. And we, while we were, just pushing our way down this kind of path embankment that is like lava on both sides, just all of us throwing everything we can at every guy, trying to take him out quickly because we feel like other groups might push in on us and tilt the action economy. So we, let's see here. Oh, this is when our fighter had taken a few hits and he was down to like 20 HP. So I was like, this is a good opportunity. And I just said, hey, are you ready to be transformed? Because we talked about it before game. I wanted to make sure he was cool with it. Because I don't want to polymorph someone on my team without their permission or like make them do a check. I want to make sure they're down with it. That said, I did surprise him with the form I picked. So I picked Giant Ape. That was a recommendation actually from our DM because he says it's pretty good at that CR. And it really was. So he comes into the field and is just immediately shredding with this ape. He's got multiple hits over 30 damage. Like he did the most damage he's ever done as that ape. It was nuts. So, and he's still in ape form when the session ended. We were kind of in combat still, fighting like a large rock elemental, another, I don't know what that thing was. Anyway, bunch of different things we're fighting all at once, and we've got a, big Caesar looking ape at the front of the party just destroying stuff. Pretty fun. But we usually will do one of two strategies as a party because we don't like to split the party, very far at all. That's like a rule. So the only thing, we'll usually focus fire on like one guy, right? Unless there's a troublemaker in the group, or there's two guys that are equally powerful, right? So usually the majority of the party will fight one guy while the one other person or two other people will kind of keep the other one at bay. So it minimizes our action economy on the other one is slanted, so we take them out quick and then they come over and assist while we keep that one busy and keep him from hitting on the group or doing big area of effect attacks or whatever. Usually works really well for us. There's been a few times where, we've kind of just myself and a cleric or our paladin and our fighter will kind of be off on their own while the rest of the party is just hitting people from range. Anyway, and by on their own, they're still within range of us. We still see them. It's just, them kind of dealing with things on their own. The Bash Brothers, if you will. Our cleric has more HP and can probably hit harder than both of them, but she likes to cast range spells and also use Spirit Guardians a lot. So she'll just kind of keep at the Spirit Guardians range where it'll keep bad guys from pushing to us and act as a middle line and really damage anyone that tries to get back to us. It's amazing. That, or she'll push up to the front with Spirit Guardians and just hold the line there like solo. It's nuts. Anyway, so we cleared out a good leg of this room, but it is massive and there's tons of mobs in it. And we can see in kind of off in the distance a magic symbol on the ground. And that's where we're heading because it's the only thing that looks distinct in the area. So it might be a portal or, something to another area or summon something there, whatever. We don't know. So that is where we are at right now at the end of the session. So we Got a lot of fighting and running. It feels like we're in like, Goblin Town, the way we're moving, because it's just like there's guys all around us on these various like walkways, and we're surrounded by lava, and almost all of them seem to have fire immunity, so like they could just get in the lava and come to us. So we got to be quick. Oh, actually, one other thing happened that I forgot to mention. At the very beginning of the session, my son randomly said, hey, we checked for loot in this room, like magic items, but did we check for gold or gems? And he asked the DM if he could look, and he got a high enough check, and he found these 2 huge jade gemstone eyes in a statue. And I was like, okay, those are cool. And then the DM said they are so big that it would be very hard to move. And then I was very suspicious, so I was like, can I do a check to see if there's like a trap or any weirdness with this? And I got a check that was high enough. And lo and behold, if you remove the eye, a huge geyser of like lava will flow out and hit you and do a ton of damage. So we were like we were debating how to get these things out, because Mage Hand wouldn't work, and we were trying to think, how can we get them out safely? And party members were volunteering. We're like, no, you don't want to take the lava. You'll die. This is a die event, like, just to get this gem. And so we're talking about it, and then our paladin goes, hey, does anyone have the telekinesis spell? I was reading about it earlier. And my son has a magic item which allows him to cast telekinesis from it. So guess what? He did it, and he was able to remove each gem without hurting anyone. We did have potions of fire resistance, but we were saving them for the next room. One of our players does have fire resistance, our cleric. She is, what are those called? A tiefling? She's one of the tieflings that can fly. Anyway. I wish I knew everybody else's like character as much as mine, but I don't. Yeah, he said that our first hit would have been like over 150 damage, and that was without, resistance. So it's likely the person would have died. Just died. Absolutely died. No saves, just dead. Because like our person with our highest HP in our party is like 75 HP. I have 60 HP. Just to give you an idea. So for most of us, or a good half of us, it'd probably kill us. You know what I mean? So telekinesis was the way. We got our gems and went on our merry way. Which we weren't sure if this place would collapse or we wouldn't be able to come back later. So we were debating just leave them and come back for them later when we can solve the problem and have time, or should we just try and get them now? So, well, the door we went through closed behind us, so we probably can't get out unless we like clear this place, and or it will likely be another exit entirely. So who knows? It may get destroyed when we're like fighting and battling and leaving it, or we may be able to go back through and go to that door again from the other side, but who knows? We don't know. So we were glad we got the loot, if it, So yeah, we had a pretty good session. Got some big jade gem eyes that are worth like 14k gold, and took out a bunch of mobs and solved some puzzles, and I am now shadowless because of the curse effect that happened when I destroyed the sigil, opening the gate to the next part of the dungeon. But yeah, I don't mess with lava like at all. We have one person in our party who wanted to touch the lava, and I was like, please don't touch the lava. It's not like water. It will hurt. It will burn you. And he went to go touch it anyway, and like a lava elemental came out, and we had to fight it. So he was like, okay, you were right. I shouldn't touch the lava because the lava monsters come out of it. Basically, he's like, I learned. I had an experience, and now he thinks all lava just means lava monsters. Yes, it was forbidden hot sauce. Also, these guys that we were fighting would pick up lava and lob it at us, and if it, like, you didn't wipe it off, you would stay on fire. So you'd have to use, like, an action to wipe yourself off the next round, or, like, pat yourself down or whatever. So, ugh, if you got hit, it was no bueno. It was like wasting your time. Don't like it. Don't like it. We're gonna delete that, delete that. We're gonna bring this back here. And extend it out to that edge as far as I can. These are going to be all campsites, so I'm going to kind of parcel them off and put up like campfires. Does anyone remember the blue Scooby snack? Hey, Permafrost. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for asking. There's like only a couple rules for our party. One of them is don't touch lava. The other is do not place pocket dimensions inside pocket dimensions. So like, because we have a portable hole and we have a bag of holding. So it's like you can't enter the bag or the portable hole if you have a bag of holding. You know what I mean? It actually is embroidered on the scar or the tissue for the scarf or whatever it is that the portable hole is in. Wow, a magic piano? That'd be dope. You know, I always like want animate objects for that reason. Like if we're in a manor and they have like a huge piano or like a grand table, like I'm going to animate that and make it fight them. That would be so cool. You know, like everyone animates an armor suit or a sword. I'm going to animate silver pieces. Because if we're fighting against werewolves, because then they will fight them and also do silver damage. Or make them look like crazy things from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, what's your question? Let's see here. So, like an abstract still acts as a plane, I believe, for objects and tokens. So I don't know if you can pass through it per se. You might want to just upload like a solid black object that basically while you're placing it is the only time you can interact with it. There are some objects on the workshop that the users who uploaded them failed to create colliders for them or deleted the colliders. And that makes the object something that you can not interact with. But another thing you could do is do a collider that's like almost the entire outside edge of the object and the inside has none. So it would make it passable for like a token or a camera, but it's still visible. Does that make sense? Oh, cool. So you were able to salvage the piano? That's interesting. I mean, technically, even if you destroyed the piano and all the pieces were there, oh, you're in. Does Pathfinder have a mending type spell where you can fix things? Essentially, you would want like a hollow space in the center of the object where they were intended to pass through. I've seen people upload like doors to the workshop or door frames where the center of the door frame was passable, but the outside was solid. Got you. After the piano was destroyed, though, it's now just an object, not magical anymore, right? Kind of like when a person dies in a campaign, they're no longer a creature. They're now an object. Is that how that works in Pathfinder by chance? I think it needs to be a combination of both, Atlam. From what I'm understanding. Oof, that's too steep. I'm going to fix that. Terrain tool, terrain tool. We're going for terrain tool. Oh, 2. And then we'll kind of just smooth this out a bit right there. He just wants to have the hole where they can't see past. So an abstract would block it, but then he wants it passable. Jack, don't you play on your TV, right? Or are you playing on a VTT? That also can make a lot of difference in how this is prepared. I'm sorry, what, Brains? Object asset importing is very, very powerful tool. It's under the Steam Workshop tab, but any of the assets that you see on the workshop, those were all uploaded by someone in our community. And there's several creators in our community who are very active on the workshop and share assets almost daily. So very community driven, but there's like 7,000 stock assets in Dungeon Alchemist, and we add like 500 to 1,000 more each update. But our community, since we've added the ability to import assets, custom assets, 3D models, has shared over 15,000 assets. So you essentially have over 3 times. I mean, it's basically doubling our stock amount, but that gives you 3 times the selection between our stock choices and the stuff on the workshop. But anyone with a computer and a bit of time can create an asset and import it through the asset importer, which also a very powerful tool, works hand in hand with the Steam Workshop. You can then import an asset of anything you want. Maybe you want a 3D model of your dog, or maybe a custom roof because the ones we have don't fit the style or vibe you're looking for. Being able to import custom assets gives you a lot of control over your builds, especially if you have the ability to create your own assets. Many will source assets online or purchase them and then just import them and use them for local use, or sometimes share them. Keep in mind, though, not every asset should be shared, especially if you found it online. You really only want to share assets that are set up to be shared, i.e. they have Creative Commons licensing. Typically, people will share a 3D model online and they'll attribute a a Creative Commons license to it, which means you can use this as long as it's not for resale or for profit. So as long as you're using it for fun, for art, for projects, for your D&D game, probably don't need to worry about it, right? But it is usually required that you credit them with the proper accreditation and license and link back to the creator. I mean, in a 3D model creator, yeah, you can put custom images on whatever you want. So that said, though, there are many objects in Dungeon Alchemist you can attribute images to as well. There are the abstract objects, which are located here. Oh, hold on, my mouse highlighter is off. So if you go to the object menu, right, and then go down here to this little infinite triangle, the Mobius triangle, these green objects, they're customizable, meaning you can insert images into them and use them to that effect. So here I could put a magic circle on the ground if I wanted to, a custom magic circle. Or I could add an image of my players on the wall or some graffiti or whatever. These could be used in many different ways, and these objects, some of them are full 3D instead of flat planes. So you can make custom round walls and pillars and walls and corner pieces and floors, all using just graphic design. So these are one of many objects you can insert custom images into. These objects, by the way, when you place them, there's a little icon here. You can click it, goes to our website, and it gives you all the templates for each of these objects. So you can download the template and use it in your graphic designer to know where you can place certain portions of the image, and it'll still be safe or useful on that object. So for instance, the cube, it's actually, imagine if you had a cube, a box, and you cut the sides with a razor blade and you laid it out flat, right? You unfolded it and laid it out as a flat piece. There would be, 6 equally flat sides for a cube, top, bottom, and then all the sides. Hey, Unseelie Seth, hope you're well. Welcome back. Ewan McGamer, a few people in our community do use that tool, and they all seem to enjoy it. And using a tool like that for making assets for your personal games, seems like, that's probably a good use of AI overall. Versus, the many, unethical uses of AI. But for something like that, I mean, it's for personal use and shared with our community at the end of the day too, a lot of it. So I encourage people, if they want to get their start with 3D design with an AI model, then by all means. Though I would encourage everyone to look into trying to run local models on your own machines, as it uses significantly less resources, and can often get very similar results. Nice, Seth. Well, you have a wonderful day. Just notice that this is off the ground. We gotta fix that. That will bother me. I just gotta smooth that. And then I'm gonna tuck this dock into the ground just a little bit more. What kind of video are you editing, Seth? Oh. Right. I heard that RAM was kind of dropping in price a little bit lately, but I don't know how true that is. I hadn't really shopped a lot, so. Oop, too far. Looking good. Honestly, man, on a server, it's still probably best to use solid state, or I mean, to use not to use solid state, to use hard drives for long-term storage. It is still the best, like, proven solution. Solid state drives, if they're not activated regularly or the data's not referenced, it can become corrupt. So I pretty much only use my solid state drives for, you know, like software programs, OSs, short-term storage. My media server is still a hard drive. Gotcha. Honestly, the next year or two definitely can make or break how computers will be for the next like 20 years. And I'm wondering if what will happen first. The AI bubble will burst, right? Or some kind of groundbreaking new AI will, you know, model will be made, and it'll be so insane that they won't be able to say no to it expanding at this rate. Right? Same. I was very, very lucky to get a new PC just before all that. And you've already been using it for some time too. Yeah, my computer has matured in value. And I still have my 1080 somewhere. That thing's probably still worth some. I think some companies are starting to see the negative like turnaround and are noticing that it's probably cheaper in the long run just to have a trained employee. In some systems, AI is, I'm sure, is useful. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that the Gen AI bubble and data centers behind it, like everything that's tied to it, all the money, which is essentially just ghost money. They're like buying all this land and contract on it, basically on like just contract money that hasn't gotten to them yet. Like, it makes no sense. Like, anyway, but I've been seeing like some companies kind of double back on like their stance on AI or shifting, and you read a story almost every other day about some AI deleting a company's entire data repository on accident or destroying a project. Or I'm like, I'm hoping that, you know, that is a cautionary tale to enough people. Local AI models are probably just going to be better for environment and computing as a whole. Yeah, these companies are, you know, they're seeing that their community, their customers don't like AI. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of crazy, but I do think in the future there will be a distinction between, you know, data center AI and local AI. That's my hope, at least. I'm trying to fix this road here. When you look at it from this side, it's just a little awkward. That smooths it out a bit. Okay, cool. I probably sound like a hypocrite discussing AI like this when Dungeon Alchemist does have AI, but it, by all sense of the word, I wouldn't compare it to anything like ChatGPT or Midjourney or, you know, Palantir or anything those guys are doing. I do think that the tighter the AI is, like in a closed environment with specific data sets for their purpose, very great. Yeah, local AI fed with very specific data sets. I think part of the problem with Gen AI is it, like, you see these videos on TikTok of people tricking them every day into saying stupid stuff, and they just gaslight you and they'll lie to your face, the AIs will, and like tell you it's correct, and people take it at a face value. I don't even want to say this because it's just insane, but recently I read about someone who asked ChatGPT for advice on something, and it told them to get something specific for it, and then they bought that thing and it wasn't for that at all. And so ChatGPT just flat lied to them, and then they got mad at the, you know, people who made it instead of the thing that lied to them. Now, you do have a point, Atlam. That said, I would much rather the government, you know, be working out all the issues with AI rather than some tech bro who, you know, is just trying to make a buck. But the sad part is our government probably isn't using it for anything good. It's probably for like missiles and, you know, guidance systems and tracking systems and, you know, drone dragnet systems and blah 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 blah. I swear, all the AI that's named after Lord of the Rings stuff is terrifying. And all of those bros, they're like, "Oh, Lord of the Rings is so clever," but they're like completely missing the point. If I were the Tolkien estate, I would be getting bank. Like more than they already are, of course. I feel like I did watch it, but I can't remember. Oh, okay. It's got Jim Caviezel in it. Interesting. I always, like, if I ask an AI something, I always take it with a grain of salt and, like, research it after. Because, like, yeah, there's no, like, or where did you get that from? Can you give me your reference, the link that you got this from, so I can go read it, please? I mean, that pretty much already exists. That's what Palantir's trying to do, is a cross-referencing system that'll, like, synergize. They're using all these buzzwords to, you know, between platforms and different departments and, you know, organizations within governments. So from like a federal level all the way down to a state level or a local level. So like they can track, you know, vehicles and people more and other things like that. I'm sure y'all have seen the flock cameras all over in your area because they're just popping up like crazy. There's like 4 of them near my home, and it irritates me so much. Every Lowe's parking lot has them now. It's like, why does Lowe's need these? I think AI, if used like with supervision, it needs a guardrail, right? Like a human interaction, making sure it doesn't do something stupid or hallucinates, double checking its work. Granted, it'll speed things up, but you're always gonna, I feel like, need a human element, because if they're feeding it from data sets on the internet that's just, you know, a bunch of people's opinions, it's not necessarily gonna be accurate information. You know what I mean? Like, sorry to get up on my soapbox about AI for a bit. So I'm looking at the cast in Person of Interest. Michael Emerson, I recognize him from Fallout. He was the Enclave scientist in the Fallout TV series. He did a great job in that role. Like if the AI is designed from the ground up to be around a specific purpose, like health, medicine, and it's only fed data that's like accurate and trained on that data, like school data, like stuff that they use and teach in hospitals and schools. Like I would say it's probably got a good chance that it could be a good model for that specific purpose. But if it's a jack of all trades, that's where it runs into problems, because it starts like cross-referencing information that has nothing to do with it all the time. I read a story the other day that ChatGPT's latest model is obsessed with talking about trolls and goblins. And so they had to put like a special line of code in it to say not to talk about that unless the person is specifically talking to you about it. Like, why? Why would that be something that they need to program out? It's because at the end of the day, we really don't understand neural nets, like how they truly function. We have an idea. Silicon Valley said it best. They're like a black box. There's that comedian who will like ask an AI question. Right? He talks to it and he's really like stoic and just I'm gonna run a mile. Can you time me? And he just talks to the AI. And the AI is like, yep, super bro like, positive. Anyway, so he'll say something like that, and then he'll be like, 2 seconds later, he's like, okay, I'm back. I ran a mile. How long did it take? Instead of saying, oh, you only took like 2 seconds, it lies and says he takes like 7 minutes. It hallucinates because that's like the average time a human can run a mile. And instead of actually timing it or saying how long it took, it's like, well, he's definitely lying to me. So it probably took this long. This is how long it took. Like it can't. It's hilarious to watch these videos. Like, I definitely have a hard time trusting that technology to do anything other than like proofread for me or like, you know what I mean? Yeah, don't give it, like, don't keep adding to the list of things after you've given it a task. Give it a well-described task with everything you want in it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to. Or if you start adding to it, it's going to come back with more and more failures. Like one time I was just testing GPT's image generation. I was telling it to generate a dice, an image of a dice. And dice are organized in a very specific way. When every side of a dice, when you add the top and bottom, equals 6. Okay? Anyway, I guess what I'm getting at on a 6-sided dice is if you have, say, a 1 on one side, the other side should be a 5, right? And I was trying to explain it, which faces would be where and how a dice looked, and it could not generate an image of an accurate dice. It struggled with it so much. I got so furious with it, I just stopped using it. Or 7, yeah, 7, my bad. Not 6, 7. Each side adds to 7. Yeah, I was mistaken there. So 6 plus 1, or 5 plus 2, or 4 plus 3. Yeah, each side. So the top and bottom of a dice always add up to 7. That's right. My bad. But yeah, Atlam, I do agree. I mean, training it on like the internet is insane. Like, that's just teaching the AI to be an edgy teenager or a troll. Man, I can't wait till we have the tool that links these types of things, so you can just draw a line and it'll just... It's pretty cool. I think I have a video of it somewhere. Where is it? I'll find it. Give me 1 minute. I want to find this teaser to share with y'all, okay? I think I'm close to finding it. Is this the video? Nope, it's not. But this is still a cool feature, improved tooltips. So essentially, you can figure out which item is what an item is, or what a floor or a wall is, and go know exactly where it's at in the menu. Here it is. Found the teaser I wanted to show you. The drag object tool should allow for a lot easier like wall making and like paths and stuff like that going forward. Object duplication. How you doing, Ninja? Yeah, you know, I'm a little worried about the decal feature at the moment because it's not finished, right? The person who was working on it left our team unexpectedly, and it needs some work to be finished. And I think that Carl's going to have to go in and like try to understand what they were doing and make it work from scratch. There's just a few bugs with it that they needed to sort out. So I don't know what's going on exactly. I don't have a date. All I've heard is before the end of summer is what they're aiming for. Hey, appreciate it, Ninja. Hope you're well. But as you can see here, it allows for dragging objects pretty much of any kind, and then just they work. And then if I've seen another video where it works on different elevations and automatically aligns them like this fence is. Because it's sunken in a little bit. Anyway. Yeah, they will speed things up tremendously in the future for y'all. I'm sure y'all will appreciate those tools. I don't know why I spent so much time making these little fences, but I'm finally done with them, so I can move on to the last little bit of this project. Yeah, that's the decal tool. So it's like, I'd say 90% done, but there's a few bugs with it that need to be fixed. And the team member who was working on it is no longer with us. Well, they didn't pass away, they're just no longer with our team. And so someone else has to step up on our team and try and figure it out, I guess, is what I've been told. Yeah, you're right, Jim. That's exactly what it is. Hey, see you, Swedish Cook. Thank you for being here, brother. Thinking about what else I should put around the oasis. Hey, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna change this dirt here to this dirt so it looks darker, and I'm gonna put some wagons in here. And then over here will be the campgrounds, so some fire pits and kind of parceled off areas that look like, hey, this is your campground. But yeah, the hope is it'll come out with Fun with Objects Part 2. So we'll see. If it gets pushed back to another update, it gets pushed back. But that being said, it is still something on the to-do list. So, but imagine, like, you know, you have to pick up a project someone did 90% of the work of and kind of fix anything that's problematic with it, and pick up the pieces. So it's a little problematic, is all. Yeah, I'm sure it's a different game at that level, huh, Mondu? RV hookups. I think I'm going to put one of these over here too, like this. Dang, that's crazy, dude. I mean, after that, it'd be a good chance to, roll some low-level characters and go back to the beginning. Or at least the lowest level they feel good with. I'm sure, like, I would have a hard time starting any campaign below level 3 now. I find level 1 through 3 to be so boring and tedious. I like jumping into the action a little bit. Level 3 to 5 characters where I feel like it's right in the pocket. Yeah, at level 3 to 5, every class has at least every class should have a subclass by level 3, I believe. I think that's the latest it is in 5e. Some get them right at level 1, like warlocks and clerics, right? I think paladins. Wizards get them at level 2. Hey, Belladonna, how are you? It's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for asking. You know what? No, they're going to turn the card around and have their fire pit over here for privacy. Fire. I think I'm going to do a couple, like a little teeny camp over here that's just basic tents. Some travelers are on foot, you know? Hmm. Oh. Let's see here. I think that looks pretty good. I wasn't acting like that, Jet Set. I know plenty of people still play older editions. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Sorry, I was just laser focused on my build. In the max zone, exactly. Nice, Jet Set, fantastic. I just saw you were a first-time chatter, so just wanted to say welcome. Hope you enjoy the stream. By the way, if you have any questions, that's what the streams are for. We kind of run them AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if you have any Dungeon Alchemist, related inquiries or support questions, or need guidance in your map making, exports, anything, just let me know, and I'm here for you. We also just casually like building a map on the stream too. It's fun. Let's see. I need some stools. Trying to decide what type of bed this person has inside the tent. Because I like to put some decor in tents like these to make them look fancy. I feel like these are too fancy to be hauling around the desert. Just like a... I'm going to change the bedspread, though. I think we can match the blue of the tent or change the tent color too. So we can make it like a purple, which would be very expensive dye, right? Kopi, how you doing? How's things? And then like a little tea table in here. Surrounded by pillows. And then we need something like a trunk. Guess we could just do like a chest. I like these though because they look more like a trunk, you know, like at the end of a bed might have something fancy. This is a glamper for sure. Okay. Looking really good there. So we've got the glamper, right? We've got a couple caravans, some tents. I was thinking of setting up a couple more tents here, like another tent type. Maybe someone camps here on the other side of this pole. It's just kind of like a whatever. Let's see here. There are other tents that I can use, and there's a particular style I think would be good for this. One of these tournament tents. Shrink it down a little bit. Heck, we can even add a third tent to this camp and just put it on this side. Would be nice if we could change the color of the bedroll, you know, like a color option, like candles I can get or whatever. Alrighty. I think we're looking pretty good for the campground. Looks occupied at the moment. And there's an empty spot or two where people can kind of throw in their lot, if you will. And then we need some wagons over here. Let's uncover one, and then we'll cover another one. We get some diversity. Shim, you got me. I don't know if I can survive that dad joke. Got like a cord of wood up here. People can buy firewood. Yeah, so I have the physical books, right, for 5e, a lot of the physical books, and there was a ton of errata just from like tiny errors or things they updated later. And you can find the erratas as PDFs online, so I'll back them up every once in a while into my collection. And then if I'm playing from a book, I'll see if there's an errata for it and just print it and put it inside the front somewhere of the book, like in the front, sleeve. It just like as soon as you open it, you can see the errata. Okay. We've got a campground. We've got an area for carts, which I do need to update this a little bit. Let's just turn up this brush a little bit larger and then make the strength better. So I think the next thing is just going to be lighting. I need to go through and put lighting in all the spaces, abstract lighting after that. Some torches here at the entrance of the campsite. You know what I mean? Like a little, I don't know, just like torches here and like on the patio, some lamps where people sit out on the deck. And then inside the bar and the store, I need good lighting in all of those spaces. So I will be going through those and doing them. Unfortunately, though, it looks like it's time to wrap up the stream for the day. So what I will be doing next week is lighting, breaking up the monotony of these paths to make it look like it was trodden a little bit with different textures and rocks, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'd say this map is pretty much done. I'd say next stream will likely finish it out. I gotta be thinking of the description for this bad boy. Let's take a look at the overhead here on the tracing layer. Okay. Please don't crash. Looks pretty good. Oh, yeah, that's right. Mondu's going to be on the hot seat on Saturday on the 9th with us. He's going to be our guest hanging out. So, you know, hopefully he passes the vibe check, right? No, I'm just kidding. We'll be interviewing him, asking him questions about his map making and storytelling and his history with tabletop gaming, etc. Hey, see you, Chim. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna save and we're gonna end the stream. I need to get all this light out of my face. It's giving me a headache today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Had a lot of fun catching you up on my session, doing some map making, providing some support. As always, Mapmaker Monday was an amazing success. Thank you, everyone that was here. We'll be back Saturday with the Dungeon Alchemist map making show, which is essentially our variety show that we host every Saturday, focused on Dungeon Alchemist as a whole. So we have news. We have this upcoming Saturday, we have an interview. On the opposite Saturdays, we have the Damn Challenge, which is our map making contest. We have showcases for maps and assets, features, and often you'll get to see teasers and learn stuff about behind the scenes during those streams. So if you're interested in our development and what's coming up next for us, tune in to the streams. Every Monday or Saturday, there's one available, and we do that so, you know, if one day isn't conducive or time slot, the other one hopefully is a little bit easier for you to attend from time to time, so you can, you know, get your questions answered, follow along with our development, and learn more about Dungeon Alchemist as a whole. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then I'm going to end the stream. Just a heads up, the ad's really silly, and it was made through a partnership of ours with a team of very talented creators on YouTube called One for All, or anyway, they do a series of skits, and they're all tabletop, usually, or video game related. They helped us with a couple different commercials. I'm hoping they can do another one with us this year. It'd be really nice. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm going to run that ad, and we're going to end the stream. Mac out. Bye. Bye. Let me pause this music.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Ta, and before...
Who do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the
Fabled realm of Goyak Tar. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered mapmaker, on Steam today.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making utility available on Steam. There's a demo that you can try it out before you buy it. Give it a little test drive on your computer. See if it's right for your campaign. Thank you again for all that tuned in and for our amazing mods. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. I'm honored.